Welcome to Don't Be Caged by Your Age, Lovebirds, Dr. Gloria Horsley and Dr. Frank Powers. I'm so happy you're here to share your love story, online dating advice for seniors with our listeners. How are you doing today?
Fantastic. We're so happy to be on, Ande.
We are.
This platform, Don't Be Caged by Your Age, is an age out loud platform. So we always are celebrating our ages and feeling liberated by letting everybody know where we're at in life. I'm 68. Please share with listeners what are your ages and where you're hailing from.
I am 85 and I am from Palo Alto, California. And now, because my partner is in Arizona, we're splitting our time.
Yes. And I'm Frank Powers, and I'm 81, and I'm from Scottsdale.
Yay! Two gorgeous locations in the world, I just have to add. So I know, listeners, I just have to say, you are going to love Gloria and Frank's love story. After meeting online and falling in love 2 years ago, they wrote a book together, as one does. I don't know. Is that what one does? Called
Doesn't everyone?
Open. Called Open to Love: The Secrets of Senior Dating, which is now available on Amazon. And it helps others thrive in the world of dating, especially if you're after 65. So before we dive into the senior dating, Gloria and Frank, please share one or two wild stories from your careers and life to give us a flavor of where you've been and who you are. And Gloria, let's begin with you.
All right. Well, I'm a psychologist and a marriage and family therapist from California. And I'll have to say, my son died 40 years ago. And so I was not, and at the time, I was a clinical nurse specialist in psychiatry at the University of Rochester. So when my husband died 4 years ago, after 60 years of marriage, I'd written other books, and I decided, because I had gotten into a relationship and I learned so much from that relationship, and the guy ghosted me and decided I was too big, too big a
Great for
present.
me.
I decided I would go online, and I went on Silver Singles, and the second person I met was the second love of my life. I'm a lucky gal because my first husband was adorable and my second man is fabulous.
Oh, I
And I was a therapist for 40 years, and so was he. So we trained with all the same people, although he's younger than I am, girls.
We love hearing that. You know, I've got the clappers out right there for Dr. Gloria. But oh,
I grew
that's
up in Scottsdale, and I became a therapist. I went to Columbia University and worked in New York for 8 years, but I came back to the place I love, which is Scottsdale. And I had gotten divorced, and I had been a year and a half out of the divorce, and thought, well, what are my options? I'm 79. I think I'm going to end up having to go into a senior community, but the numbers were good in a senior community. So I thought that might be good. But I said, I met my wife on Silver Singles. Why don't I give it one last try? Thank God I did, because I met the love of my life.
oh my gosh. Listeners, this is why I'm calling them the lovebirds. Seriously. And this is gives all of us tremendous hope and enthusiasm for finding love after 65. So, Gloria, before we get going on to dating and silver singles and hearing how you and Frank met, please share a little bit about your Open to Hope Foundation. I just want listeners to know that you became the co-founder of this meaningful organization. I'm going to have links in the show notes, everyone, because I feel that's an important addition to all that Dr. Gloria brings to us today. Share a little bit about that, Dr. Gloria.
Well, as I said, 40 years ago, 41, my son, who was 17, and his cousin were both killed in a very traumatic accident. The car hit a wall, blew up, and they both burned to death.
Oh,
And I, at the time, was teaching grief and loss at the University of Rochester as a clinical nurse specialist in psychiatry. And I thought I knew everything about everything. And I found out I knew nothing about nothing. And I'll have to say, 40 years later, when my husband died, I found out that I'd been counseling widows, and there was really a lot that I didn't know. But getting back to the foundation, I really specialized in grief and loss and trauma in my therapy practice. And then when the internet came along 20 years ago, I was volunteering with the Compassionate Friends, which is an organization for people who've lost kids. And they asked me to do an online radio show with Voice America. And so I did 6 weeks, and I was only supposed to do 8. And a woman emailed me and said, "You're like my lifeline. Please don't quit." So I've been doing it for the last 20 years. And then my daughter joined me. She teaches at Columbia. So now we do a podcast, and we have 3 million downloads every year. We have a free site, Open to Hope, for anybody who wants to come in and deal with their grief and loss. It's all types of loss. And we want to give a voice to grief and recovery. And
Right.
if someone wants to write for us, we give them a free profile page. If they've done a book, we'll put their book on our website. And
It's totally free.
yeah, and it's totally free. And my 3 daughters work on Open to Hope with me.
It's a family affair.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And my late husband was also very devoted to it. And
Oh,
now I've kind of moved on. My girls are kind of running Open to Hope,
running the show.
although they always have, recently they have been, but I've kind of deviated a little bit
Yeah,
to loving
thank-
your life. And
I think it's so wonderful.
Post trauma.
Yeah. So let's dive into your story, because I know from personal experience and talking to friends that the thought of getting on a dating site at this age and stage seems overwhelming. Let folks know how you met. How did you put your profiles up? Did you hire someone to help you with this? And why were you even open to meeting someone new and finding love again? Let's start with
Gloria
you,
made
Dr.
all the
Frank.
rookie mistakes that you could possibly make as a person, and look at how she's been successful. So don't be too daunted by the online piece, because
Yeah.
it is new, especially for people our age. I mean, it didn't exist. People met differently when we were kids, and so you have to master the new technology, and the best way to do it is with Dating Buddy.
Yeah, we're very big on the dating buddy. I did not have a dating buddy.
She did a lot.
You have to remember, I was only doing research for a book.
Yeah,
So-
that's what she told
so
me
I
when we
was
first
like-
met.
So I wasn't nervous about it. I'm just going to see how this thing works, because the guy I'd been with who ghosted me had online dated and told me it was a good way to meet people. So I just decided I got to put a chapter in the book.
Oh yeah, so you approached it like the clinical psychologist. Like, let's get on here.
Absolutely. But when I looked in her eyes, I knew there was more than clinical research going on here.
Oh, that gives me goosebumps, Frank. So first of all, I love the term dating buddy. How do you find a dating buddy?
Well, we'll say one thing: don't have it be your grown kids.
Yeah.
There's
the best.
nothing in it for them to have you date.
Yeah.
They may think it's fun to start
In the
with,
beginning, but
Yeah,
no,
but-
when you meet someone, then they start getting nervous.
or when you get sad or and the date doesn't go well or something. They don't want to hear about that. They also don't
No,
want
that's only good for the movies when they set up a profile for mom or
to
dad.
hear you're feeling romantic feelings.
No.
I mean, because it's so silly when you get into this, you really do act like a kid. It's really kind of fascinating.
TMI, one of her daughters said, too much information.
Right. But what do you mean you feel like a kid again? What happens? What is the process like that you feel like, oh, I'm dating again, and it feels like it did when I was 20?
Well, there's a little amygdala in the brain that gets stimulated when you decide you're going to do something, and it gets you rolling and going. And you look at these pictures.
New energy, feel like a teenager.
Yeah, and laugh with your friends about how somebody looks and how some guys they're with. What did the guy
sit around and laugh at the profiles that you see online?
But that's if you got
in your pajamas. You can sit around and look at them.
with your girlfriends. You can do a group or with your guy friends.
But don't do it alone.
No.
It's just too daunting, and you need support, and you need to have people who you can have fun with. Because if it's not fun, you're not going to do it.
That's right.
And so it's got to be fun.
Yeah, because you have to carve out some time to do it. We've been dating buddies for some people, and
Yeah, we're having a lot of fun being dating buddies.
yeah, we've had a lot of fun with them and seeing the pictures and laughing with them and talking. And it really changes, because we were talking with somebody we do a dating buddy with yesterday at breakfast, and we said, she said, I put down my wrong age. she said I put down that
A younger age.
a younger age, and I just had a date, and this guy
Said I'm too old.
I think he uses an excuse, and
Yeah.
and she felt bad, and we said, oh, that's
No. And his problem, not hers. I mean, she's fine, and she has plenty of people who are interested in her, but this one was kind of a disappointment.
yeah.
He flew in from California to meet her here in Arizona, and so she thought, "Oh, wow, this is going to be good." And he turned out to be someone who really didn't match up well.
He wanted to have a one night stand with her, and
Yeah.
one of the things we said is, let's go back onto your side again
Yes.
and make it clear. No, I'm not interested in a one night stand. If you are into that, please do not get in touch with me.
Yeah, it's a fly
That would be called
date, so it didn't work out well.
Yeah, senior single sex date.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. That's having those boundaries is so key.
Profile
Right up front, what you want. Yeah.
Right.
And you need to learn and change your profile.
Also, make sure that your profile really reflects you. A lot of people put in their idealized self, and that isn't really good, because if someone likes you, they like the idealized self. You want someone who wants you as you are. So be real, put yourself out there, and just know that there is someone out there for you if you just be honest and put it in exactly as you are.
One of the other people we were dating buddy with made a comment, which I thought was interesting. She said, you know what I just did? I wasn't sure about this guy. His picture was ridiculous. And I said, take a snap right now and put it online and send it to me. I want to see a current picture of you.
I think that makes
to protect yourself, you really want to make sure that the person that you're talking to is the real person. And you can go on E-Verify, you can go on White Pages, or you can Google the person to find out if indeed they are who they say they are. And that's an important thing to do early before you get too invested by texting and getting interested in a person.
Yeah, I mean,
then you don't want to know that they're not real.
You really, if there are people who just want to spend time talking to you on the phone, and that's just a no-no. I mean, it's a waste of time.
If they don't have a LinkedIn profile, that could be a red flag.
Yeah.
So I have a question about the photos, because I think too, part of your lived experience bringing you here today is a little bit of your history of where you've been, right? And so is it, along with putting a very current photo of who you are today, what about adding a little history, some of the things that you may have done in your life? Because a lot of times
you want to highlight the activities that you're interested in, because at this point in life, you're probably not going to have children, definitely. And work is not going to necessarily be a major part of your life. So you want a friend, and you want a companion, and you want a playmate. And if you do, then make sure you put out what kinds of things you like to do. And those people will respond and say, hey, I like that too. Gloria put down that she wanted someone with a handicap, and not a physical one, but a golfing handicap. So she made her point. And
when they asked me what I
golfer, I said, hey, I'm here. I'm here.
I said, one of the questions was, what wouldn't you give up? And I said, my golf club. But that really is important to me. I like to play golf. So,
and that is important.
I want to say one thing about scamming. People are so afraid that they're going to be scammed. There's one thing scammers want, and it's money.
So never
ever give money.
Ever.
And stay on the app until you're sure about people.
Until you know that they're real. And you want to meet up with someone as early as possible.
As soon as possible, meet up with them.
Yes.
Excellent advice. I love that. And can you be brutally honest? So for me, I would have to put up must love high maintenance person.
If you don't put that there, then the person's going to not know who you are. And if they said, hey, I'm high maintenance, but I'm high fun.
Exactly. That's how you do it. Yeah. And make a little humor out of it. High maintenance, high fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
And don't forget your humor when you're going online. You need to show that you're alive, you're funny, you're going to be a good companion for someone.
Mhm.
And so you want to show that side if it's there. And if it's not there, then I think you need to do a little work to make sure that you get to that place
Right.
before you go out there and you decide that you want to put yourself on a profile.
So
You want to make sure that you're really ready, and that's where the dating buddy really comes
Yeah.
in. It really helps you get ready. It helps you get excited and get you motivated and get your energy up, because a lot of times when you're lonely and you're by yourself, your energy saps. You're
Mhm.
not you're not much fun. You're kind of a stick in the mud. So you want to get yourself energized and ready and in a dating mode.
Putting your money in and signing up for a bit dating app suddenly says, "Hey,
Hey,
I'm
I'm
dating."
ready.
The brain says, "I'm dating."
Whoa.
We go into a bar or whatever. We look
You look
around
around.
for other
You just
people.
look
We go to
differently.
our class reunion. Our friends, we have maybe one of our friends is our dating buddy. They're telling your other friends that you're dating. It won't necessarily be
So many
online, but
people
it
in my
opens up your
practice
world.
went to their reunions and met old flames that also lost their partner for one reason or another, and they suddenly reignited an old
Yeah,
interest.
yeah.
this is wonderful. And listeners, remember the book is called The Secrets of Senior Dating.
Senior
All
Open
right.
to
dating.
Open
love.
to Love, The Secrets of Senior Dating. And it has all the advice, the do's and don'ts, everything you want to watch out for. And also that what you just said, open to love, the secrets of senior dating. It's so important to know when you're ready. Do you talk about that and walk people through that in the book to just get
We
to that
have a
mindset so
yeah.
you're open?
We have a section in there on grief and loss. If you've had a loss, how do you know
How do
if
you
you're
know when
ready?
you're ready? Yes.
And, talk about some of the things. I mean, can you do activities that you used to do? Can you talk about your loved one? You know,
Yes. All of those are signs that you're at a place in your grief process where you could be open to someone new. And if you do it too soon, you're really not open. And so you're not going to have a good
but I
experience.
got to say something about too soon. Now, I
Yeah, Gloria.
I actually met a
It'll,
guy after 5 months because he was a golfer and we started golfing together every
she
day.
golfed through grief.
So I will say, and he ended up living with me. So I will say this. I used to, yeah, I don't know who ever said that you can't do anything for a year. Don't do anything for a year. I was guilty of telling people that.
And she didn't
Do
follow her own advice, and
do
it was
what
good.
you need to do. I sold a summer home we had in the first year. I was living with somebody in the first year. I mean, who knows,
Right.
particularly over the age of 50 or 60. Yeah, I wasn't responsible for kids. I was responsible for me. I was responsible for doing what I needed to do to take care of myself.
So, and let's talk about that being prepared because you're both therapists. So you have the language for
Right.
building new relationships and you have the self awareness because you've been practicing self actualization
Mhm.
Exactly.
with others and yourself your entire career. But how hard is it for folks who have not resolved some of the unhealthy past relationships to begin a new relationship during this golden time of their life where they may be bringing anger or resentment they had for their loved one if they had lost or divorced into this next relationship? How can folks get better prepared again with their heart and their mind?
Man, you want to not come in with anger. We Frank and I have
Yeah.
both said our goal is not to build any I mean,
Yeah.
to build any walls. We don't need to. We don't have this past history.
And
How do we
certainly in
come
my
in with it?
practice, it was true of people who got divorced and had to go through a nasty divorce that there was a lot of anger and resentment. And many of them were not really ready until they could get to a place of forgiveness and a place where they said, look, I don't want this to hold me back from having a life. I don't want to stay in this ugly, angry place. And once you do that, yeah, you start the process of getting ready to open yourself and open your heart. But if you're angry, that just takes over your heart, and you're just not. There's just no place for anyone.
Right. And I want to
Yeah.
remind listeners, if you're on Medicare and if you have any supplemental, It's covered. Therapy is covered. Do the work, find the
Yeah,
therapist.
Absolutely. My
absolutely.
whole practice after the age of 70 was totally Medicare. And I really enjoyed working with people that were my age. And it was just kind of fun and going through the whole process of them going from I'm really sad and I'm lonely and I don't know what to do with myself to, wow, a dating buddy? I mean, how do you get a dating buddy? And I said, well, one of the tremendous resources, if you have grandchildren, they all know all about online dating, and they get kind of excited about grandma and grandpa doing the dating thing like they're doing. So it's a
Are you swiping left or right, Graham?
it's
And
fun.
they can help
It's
you get
fun. They're really
online.
great.
And your therapist is great to help you with online
Yes,
dating
exactly.
too. But they're not going to be there for you on
At
Valentine's
12
Day
o'clock
or
at night
yeah,
after you had a bad
bad
date or
date
something and you
or
want to
Right.
download with somebody.
yeah.
Yes, you've got to have a
Right.
dating buddy.
So
Don't do it alone.
a
Don't do it alone.
therapist is great and a dating buddy.
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. So I want to talk about a myth. And maybe it's a myth, maybe it isn't. I'm talking about when the women who, when their partner, their husband passes or the divorce happens and they're like, I am going to be single for the rest of my life. I'm not going to have that level of responsibility, accountability. I worked my tail off for 40 years taking care of that man. I'm not doing that again in a relationship after decades of not feeling fulfilled or heard or seen. Talk a little bit about that because I've seen a lot of that,
Yeah.
Gloria and Frank, in some of my female
Yes.
friends.
But we're living proof that there is somebody out there. You just have to be persistent. You have to realize that it's a numbers game, that in terms of online piece, out of every 15 to 20 meetups, there's only going to be 2 or 3 people who are really going to be candidates.
That you even want to go for a hike
have to be
with.
realistic. You have to know, and you have to start having fun with meeting new people and getting out there. And some of them are not going to work for you, or you're not going to work for them. And that's just life. That's the way it is. And as long as you go in with the right attitude, I think your chances are pretty good.
But she was talking about another question. I have to tell you a story. I took care of my husband. He had a lot of health issues. He had 12 back surgeries. I got alopecia, which is loss of your hair.
Yeah.
A lot went on. I didn't want to be in another relationship where I had to take care of somebody. Frank and I talked about it. Frank needed a knee replacement. He recently got a knee replacement. I drove him to the hospital and I got in my car.
She dropped me off and I had professional care because we thought the relationship was more important than her taking care of me and my knee.
So I
This
saw
is
him
so
a month
important.
after I dropped him off at the hospital in Arizona.
And it worked perfectly for us.
I drove to California.
Now, see, this is so important, folks. You have to know what your boundaries are, what your needs are. And there are plenty of rehab folks and support
There are.
systems
And
for
they don't want you to do it, by the way, people. You're going to have to stand up for yourself.
And unfortunately, the medical community still thinks that the wife or the husband should take care of the spouse. And we're saying, no, you don't.
And they're
have
surprised.
to.
They're like, to Frank, you mean she's not going to pick you up?
And I said, no, no. Uber is just fine.
And then what did
or
they
my
say?
friend will pick me up.
And then what did they say to that? They said you can't Uber.
Yeah. they wouldn't let me Uber. And I said, why not? She said, well, someone might take advantage of you. And I
oh, for
take
crying
advantage
out
of
loud.
me?
So he had to find a service.
Oh my God.
I found a service.
By the way, there's a great service called GoGo Grandparents.
GoGo Grandparents. If you ever need a ride, GoGo Grandparents.
They will
it's fantastic.
They will take you.
Organize everything for you.
They'll take you home after your knee surgery.
Oh my gosh, this is so wonderful. And listeners, you'll remember episode 18 when we talked to Deborah Greenhut, how to protect your quality of life while caregiving. She's very clear about what Drs. Gloria and Dr. Frank are talking about right here. And
Hey,
that
Frank
is
has stepdaughters. They're going to take care of him if he has.
Yeah,
They're
my medical power of attorneys, and they're going to remain my medical power of attorneys.
And they were the ones that the hospital was to call, not me. They said, "Don't you want to leave your number?" And I said, "No."
No. Don't
but
call me.
what you did was the
Don't call me
healthiest.
until he's healthy.
But this is so important, listeners. I want you to remember that the relationship is in the center. We have Gloria, we have Frank, and here's the relationship in the center. And that's what you're nurturing. And whatever you need to do to keep that relationship solid and golden, I think that's so important. Now, is it possible to be going on dates with someone and say, you know what? We're not a good fit, but I met a guy a few dates back. I think you guys would really hit it off. Does that happen in the
Oh,
online dating?
absolutely. We encourage people in the book to think of this as people who you meet are resources to help you find the right person. Who cares how you find them? You just want to find the right one.
You're only looking for
You're only
one.
looking for one.
I love that. Who cares how you find them? You kind of just get out there and find them. And let's talk. Okay, so Dr. Gloria, you're seasoned at publishing books. So I'm thinking when you both decided, let's go ahead, let's write a book, Open to Love, The Secrets of Senior Dating. How did that process go? Especially you had to be co-authors, you had to learn how to collaborate, but also you had to did you have a publisher? Did you upload it?
We couldn't get a publisher because people said nobody's going to be interested in this.
Who
And
wants to hear from a couple of
nobody
80-year-olds?
yeah, a guy actually is one of the agents.
We actually heard that from agents.
He
yeah.
said, I've kept his name, so
That-
I'm going to
that-
send it to him when we sell 5,000.
That's ageism for you right there. Who's going to be interested? Oh my gosh. And how
So
was that?
writing together, because we have similar backgrounds, because we've both been therapists for 40 years, actually writing the book was quite easy. We took the Queen Mary over to England and wrote it on the boat.
Yeah, on the boat.
But we had to self-publish, and that's a problem because I had written earlier and Wiley published my book and I was on TV and all that. It's very hard. It's very hard to
The world
self-publish
has
a book.
changed in the publishing area.
Yeah.
Oh boy, has it ever. And even if you
Really.
do get picked up by a publisher, they want to know what platforms you've already created online.
And I have a big platform. If you don't have a
Yeah.
platform at all, good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I want listeners to know that 100% of the proceeds go to the Open to Hope Foundation, which I think is lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Thank you.
doing
We're
for
excited
doing
about
that.
Yes.
And Frank was so sweet. We dedicated the book to my husband who passed away.
Frank,
Yeah.
you guys, this is so inspirational. Listeners, what are you taking away from this? Are you thinking you ready to dip your toe into some senior dating online? You've got to get this phenomenal book, Open to Love, The Secrets of Senior Dating. Frank and Gloria walk you right through the process, step by step. It's almost like you've got the beginnings of your dating buddy in the book to help you prepare yourself. And also what I love about the book too is that it helps you understand what does it mean to be emotionally ready and prepared to take this step, and the stories about the things that aren't going to work out. And folks, when you're pursuing a dream, when you're going after a new opportunity, and remember, we can do new things right after 65.
Absolutely.
You have to pull on threads and remember, sort of take on Gloria's perspective as the clinical psychologist who's looking at everything clinically. You're pulling on threads, you're experimenting, you're going to learn what you don't want, and you're going to learn what you want. So all of a sudden, everybody you're dating is giving you better ideas of, oh, I like that about him, but I didn't like that. And I like that about her, but not that. And you start to pull together and get even more open to love, I imagine. Yes?
Yep, absolutely.
Absolutely.
You become a pro, an expert, a good consumer.
Oh, this is wonderful, wonderful. And so what final advice do you have for folks to help them prevent them really from being caged by their age so that they can thrive after 65 and be in love again?
Well,
Don't give up. Let your loneliness be your motivation to get out there and find the love of your life like we did.
Yeah.
Aw.
And do it now.
Do it now.
And remember, you're only looking for one.
This has been such a wonderful and delicious conversation. What's the best way for folks to find you, learn from you, follow you, purchase your book, and stay in touch with you?
Well, go to the Golden Dating Doctor. We have all the social media. We have a website. You
We
can
have a podcast on what to do to find your dating buddy.
We have a podcast on dating buddies on our site at the Golden
Great.
Dating Doctors, and also Open to Hope. Come to Open to Hope because Frank's been on a lot of my podcasts there too.
Oh,
So
this has been so tremendous. I love everything you're doing. As my husband and I like to say, we've lost businesses and babies, all our money and all our hormones, but we never lost each other. And it's because of
and
one
we
of
have a chapter called Through the Bedroom Door that we don't even begin to get into. So
now you know, listeners, you gotta buy the book. Absolutely.
Clean in the privacy of your own home.
That's right. Talk about TMI, right? Open to Love, The Secrets of Senior Dating. I am so grateful that you joined me for this wonderful, enlivening, and optimistic and hopeful conversation because we want to address isolation and loneliness in our seniors and help them not be so afraid to get online and find love and swipe left, swipe right, whatever it's going to take to find that person to share your life with, because you have a lot of years left in your life, right, Frank and Gloria?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And people who are in partnership live 7 years longer.
Longer. Yes.
There you go.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh, listeners, I want to hear from you what your thoughts are. And remember, I always like to say we can do new things, and that includes getting online, figuring it out, finding that dating buddy, uploading your photo. I will have all the links for Dr. Gloria and Dr. Frank in the show notes so that you can get going, buy their book, and follow them and learn how to find love and continue to thrive after 65, because you have so much to give, listeners. Don't let those internalized ageist beliefs prevent you from pursuing new dreams, new opportunities, new love. Okay. You're never too old, and it's never too late to love again.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Doctors Gloria and Frank. I just love knowing you. I just love knowing that you're out there and you're so much fun. Thank you again for joining me.
Thanks for having us on, Andy.
Listeners, I'm so grateful you carved out time to tune in and grab the gems from this delicious conversation. Be sure to hop on over to Don't Be Caged by Your Age on LinkedIn or Instagram to share your thoughts about ageism and unretirement. Because in this space, your age doesn't define you. It refines you. If you are inspired by a story you hear, it would mean the world to me if you would subscribe, share, rate, and review the podcast. To receive an alert whenever a new show is posted, please join the Don't Be Caged by Your Age newsletter. Every month, you'll receive links to the podcast and helpful resources for creating possibilities for your unretirement days. Thank you for tuning in. I am so excited to hear how you found ways to thrive after 65. Waving from Boston, cheers.